Welcome to our lecture, Getting a Job in Rural Canada. What is rural Canada? Rural Canada is referred to the areas outside major cities in Canada. Villages, small towns, and places with a low population, and remote agricultural lands and wilderness areas. As you understand, Canada is the second largest country in the world, so most of the cities are spread among the vast land, and you find a lot of small towns in between the provinces. So a good strategy for potential immigrants is to focus, instead of larger cities, just go for small towns. We're going to see in this lecture what is the best strategy. Based on information from Statistic Canada, the size of the cities are designed based on a small population center from 1,000 to 29,000 people, medium population centers between 3,000 and 99,000 people, and large urban center from 100,000 over in population. Our focus on this lecture will be small population centers and medium population centers. Urban migration in Canada. Over 75% of immigrants to Canada land in one of the following major cities: Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver, Calgary, Ottawa, and Edmonton. So these are the biggest cities in Canada. In comparison to cities in other countries, the population are not as big, but in relation to Canada, they are the biggest cities. And we can see here in this chart that Toronto, located in Ontario, have a population of 5,429,524 people, followed by Montreal in Quebec with over 3 million, Vancouver in British Columbia with over 2 million people, then Calgary in Alberta with over 1 million, Edmonton in Alberta also around 1 million people, Ottawa, Gatineau, Ontario, and Quebec with close to 1 million people, Winnipeg and Manitoba with less than 700,000 people, Quebec around the same amount, Hamilton, Ontario, then Kitchener, Waterloo, and Cambridge in Ontario, London, Ontario, Victoria in British Columbia, Halifax in Nova Scotia, that is the Maritime and the Atlantic province, Oshawa in Ontario, Windsor in Ontario, and if you can see, Ontario, Quebec possess the biggest cities of the list. So you can see here that the population in these cities are not as big as in other countries, but our focus should be based on small cities from Quebec City down the list, and you can see that these cities are smaller but also provide good opportunities. In the map we can see the location of these cities, and you can see they are focused mainly in the East Coast and also in the middle of the West. So as a good saying will be for immigrants, the job opportunities are in the West right now, so you should go west as a good choice if you want to find a job quickly. And when we talk about job opportunities, there's two main programs outside major cities in Canada. The first one is the Atlantic Immigration Pilot, very popular these days, when the job offer can be arranged with an employer with our LMIA, and the Rural Employment Initiative in Ontario. The Atlantic Immigration Pilot is a step-by-step guide you can see here. Basically, you need to focus first on having the employer being designated by the province. They have to apply to the province. Then, after they are designated on the list, they can endorse the candidate. And once the endorsement comes with the step described, then the candidate can initiate the immigration application. There's more information in another course that we have about Atlantic Canada, but the links for this program are included in our lecture. The Rural Employment Initiative, this is the basic information. Again, it works with some project, and at the end of this page you can have the email contact, the phone number for people looking for more information. It's focused basically on Ontario. It's funded by the Ontario Trillium Foundation, and help newcomers finding local jobs and residing in rural communities, and that help increase economic prosperity as a whole. So a very good choice if you're looking for a job in rural Canada. What is the advantage of living in rural Canada? Well, for a start, less competition with job opening, better work-life balance, less expensive housing and cost of living. If you compare, the cost of living of these cities are way less than in the major cities. It helps you also to have a better work-life balance. Everything is closer. And the competition for job opening, because of the population being so small, you have more chance of getting a job or two jobs when you arrive to those areas. And also, sometimes you have a different kind of job that are not available in major cities. And those programs also that support and attract immigrants with settlement services in those areas. More information about the Rural Employment Initiative is managed by the News Center of Peel. Help you get an interview opportunity, help you gain knowledge of life in Canada. You can receive settlement support again, and you can explore being part of a small Canadian community. So those are the advantages of participating in a Rural Employment Initiative. So we highly recommend it to our potential immigrants to check that choice. Now, the recommended steps: you need to conduct a labor market research. You need to know where you're going, small cities. You need to identify the areas you are considering living and working, especially if you know that your occupation is in demand. So when you combine the tool like Job Bank tool, when you can check your occupation and what areas in Canada they are more in demand, then when you determine that, then you can go and check the cities. So that's the way you can do a very good research before you come to Canada. You can check if it's a city, an area specific in Canada. You can check the website where you can get all the information and contact information. You can also contact employment and settlement agencies in the area that can help you settle or contact employers before coming to Canada. And you can arrange informational interviews with the potential employers in the area. Informational interviews that we saw in the past are not the same as job interviews. These interviews are designed for you to learn about the company, and also the company learn a little bit about you. They know there's no commitment about job offer, but at least you get exposed and start becoming known by the company and knowing the officials in the company that have the hiring decision. You're going to learn more about the culture of the company. They're going to learn more about you, and you're going to establish some kind of network right there. And networking is one of the main strategies to get a job in Canada, especially from abroad. So please follow this recommended step, and you will see results as soon as you start implementing them. Now, it's good to have an assessment checklist, especially for areas that you're considering in rural Canada. So you can check with this assessment checklist the employment opportunities in those cities. If you're comparing small city areas against other cities, you can check the housing costs, how affordable they are, the demand for housing, if it's renting, if it's thinking about buying, the price range, how compare one city against the other. So those are parameters that you can use in your assessment checklist. You can also compare about transportation. If you need a car, if you can rent a car, how the public transportation available. Again, cost of these means of transportation. You can evaluate every choice and compare city against city. You can also check about education, especially if you have kids, what institutions are available close to your town, the quality, what program they offer, if they have religion programs, if you're religious background, or what kind of activities. You can check everything online in the province. Canada is very good at having a lot of information on the internet when it comes to evaluating the cities and the areas. Healthcare, how many hospital, the service provided, cost, access to healthcare centers, community support, cost of living, very interesting, and we include one in our lecture, one of the tools that we use to evaluate cost of living, but you also can check the website and Statistic Canada, and there's so many sources of information that you can organize in a checklist. That way you have a better idea of what is the best choice when it comes to choosing a city. And a good source of information that we highly recommend is the MoneySense Report. MoneySense is a magazine and publication in Canada that every year make a post about the best places to live in Canada. And they have different categories. They give you always a full ranking and they choose the best places for families, the best places for new Canadians, cost of living. It's a very complete information that can help you start the process of making your checklist. The link is included in our lecture. I highly recommend you check that website. Also, you can check it in YouTube. They have videos that they post every year about the best places and articles in the Canadian newspapers. So, best places to live, Canada's best places to live. Check the MoneySense Report every year, and you can search that in Google or any search engine on the internet. And you can find a lot of information about those small cities that you are considering for immigration to Canada. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Please use the resources included, and thank you very much.